Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ronald Joseph Lin. It is August 27th, 2020, and you are now watching Real Talk with Ronnie. Here on our show, we only engage in real talk, real news in real time. We are back after a hiatus of approximately 2 months, and this was due to the fact that my wife gave birth to our beautiful baby boy during this time. So once again, welcome back to our show, and I'm excited to pick up where we left off. So wow, a lot has happened in the last 2 months, and we have a lot of catching up to do. First off, riots still rage on in the US in numerous cities throughout the country, and these leftist protests have no end in sight. Another big news is that Democratic presidential nominee Vice President Joe Biden has finally chosen a running mate. He kept true to his word and picked a female candidate. And that female candidate is Senator Kamala Harris from the great state of California. In case you're confused, yes, that's right, the same Kamala Harris that basically tore Biden apart during the debates in the primary and essentially called him racist for not letting her be bused to school as a little girl. Now, politics is a strange and funny game, isn't it? Anyway, they are now the Democratic Dream Team, hoping to take down President Trump. As I stated during our last show, Senator Harris comes with her own baggage, and given her background in law enforcement, it may be a bit awkward for the left to justify her given their angst against law enforcement. But anyway, we're all very excited to see how this all plays out. All right, we have a lot to cover, and here to join us tonight, once again, is a good friend of the show, Mike Reyes. As you may remember, Mike is an entrepreneur and chairman of the Harlem GOP. We are very happy to discuss all things politics with him, and we are always happy to have him on our show. So, let's get to it. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us tonight. It is August 27th, 2020, and we are very happy to have Mike Reyes back on our show tonight. So hello, Mike, great to see you again.
Great to see you too.
Yeah, so Mike, the last time that we spoke, I believe it was on June 14th. It was more than 2 months ago. And from then until now, a lot of things have happened. Me, on a personal basis, I had my first child. My son was born on June 21st. So actually, this show had to go on a little bit of a break. But today, It's the first time, thank you. It's the first time that we're up and running again. And we're happy that our first guest on our show is you again. Okay, and I mean, you happen to be the last guest on my show before I had my son, and you're the first guest after I had my son. So pleasure to have you. So Mike, you've been very busy the last 2 months. Can you please
Extremely busy.
Can you please give us an update on what you've been up to?
A week after I finished the first podcast with you, I was invited to work on a political action committee called Make Liberty Win, which is an offset of an organization called Young Americans for Liberty, who were originally students for Ron Paul. So what we've been doing is traveling to swing districts and state rep races in different states where we can swing the pendulum towards liberty candidates. First, we endorse the candidates. Once they're endorsed by us, we send a team of people. There's no campaign coordination. We have our own literature, our own walkbooks that we do. We don't associate with any campaign directly until after, hopefully we win, and we can celebrate together and share data. Right. But yeah, it's been fun. The goal of the organization of Young Americans for Liberty with this PAC, Make Liberty Win, is to get at least 250 state reps that are pro-liberty, pro-constitution, pro-Second Amendment, pro-free speech, pro-life, against the death penalty, generally speaking. To, again, 250 state representatives elected all around all 50 states that swing the pendulum. In a few years, what we'll do is have those guys run for Congress, Senate, and then run more state representatives. So just slowly getting the U.S. back to its conservative roots based on the Constitution.
I have a question. So you said that one of the points or one of the missions of this group is to overturn the death penalty?
Yes, because we believe that it doesn't do anything for the families, and that it's not it's not an actual human condition to do an eye for an eye, right? That never worked, right? What happened in Egypt is that everybody ended, in theory, everybody ends up eyeless, right? So
Right.
killing a second person, the person that's imprisoned, we only spend more money because they can go through various appeals. The state spends a lot of money, and it's not worth it for us economically and morally speaking as well. There are other ways to reform people. If you
Okay.
kill somebody, you can't reform them.
Right. Well, but correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it a conservative? I mean, aren't most conservatives for the death penalty? Pro death
Yeah.
penalty?
So Young Americans for Liberty. Well, that's geographically speaking, right? Like in New York State, Republicans aren't for the death penalty, but in
Right.
Texas, Democrats and Republicans, it might be for the death penalty, right?
Right.
That's more of a geographic
Right.
difference.
But I think, generally speaking, I think that conservatives and Republicans are more pro death
All
penalty
right.
than liberals. Correct?
So let me make this distinction again. We're an offset of Students for Ron Paul, Young Americans for
Okay.
Liberty. So, in our view, we're libertarians more so than conservatives, right? Ronald Reagan, you know, R.I.P., great man. He said that the basis of
My namesake,
conservatism
by the
is
way.
libertarianism. Sorry.
No,
Oh
I'm saying
yes.
that Ronald Reagan
Oh,
is
you got it in him because of him.
right.
Yeah, lucky you. I'm named after Mike Tyson. We'll get
Are you
sure into
really?
that stick. Yeah, but yeah, my dad was obsessed with boxing,
Wow,
and
so
that was the era.
you-
'87. I was born. Mike Jackson, Mike Tyson, Michael Jordan.
well, that's pretty
But
cool. You're
yeah,
named
so we
after
believe.
Iron Mike. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of famous Mikes, and you know,
Yeah,
so
just in my age group, a lot of people
you're
named
in
Mike.
pretty good company.
Yeah. So, oh yeah, conservatism. Yeah. So Ronald Reagan said that the cornerstone of modern day conservatism is libertarianism. Libertarianism is a bit more to the right of the pendulum than just mainstream conservatism, evangelical conservatism, right?
All right.
So we're going back to those roots where there was really no, to my knowledge, there wasn't a death penalty. There was, but like in the modern day sense, it's kind of been eradicated. And we believe that, again, we spend too much money imprisoning people. It doesn't make sense. You don't reform somebody that's already dead. It doesn't help the families long term either.
Right. But I mean, an argument can be made that you know, someone who has taken the life of someone else, especially in a very gruesome manner, or someone who's a child predator or a child molester, I mean, they can't be reformed anyway. So
A child molester, no, but people that are murderers.
right.
Sorry, people that are there's murders all the time. I forgot the name. I watched a documentary on an amazing young lady. She murdered somebody when she was like 15 or 16. She was a child prostitute, which is very sad, right? I condemn things like that. But you know, she's out right now. She's 33, I believe, and she's doing fine. And she's actually written books. She's an inspirational speaker. And there are violent criminals that have been reformed. Yes, obviously, like a pedophile or something like that, they shouldn't be on the street. But there's ways you can keep them, away from those demographics and stuff like that. You don't have to necessarily sentence them to death.
Right. Okay, so Mike, currently, where are you? Which state are you currently in?
I'm in the live free or die state, the hard rock of American libertarianism, New Hampshire.
New Hampshire. You're also in the first primary state in the presidential race, right? During primary season.
Yeah, but right now it's the last for the actual election primaries. Like the primary here is going to be September 8th. Actual primary. This is for local levels.
Okay. Okay.
Keep in mind that the guys here did not vote for Biden, but they voted for Donald Trump in overwhelming numbers. Historically speaking, incumbent presidents, they obviously get elected. They get the most votes, generally speaking. But Trump destroyed Obama's numbers and for his reelection, Clinton numbers for his reelection, Bush's numbers for his reelection as well.
So Mike, currently
actually, Trump's going to be here in 2 days, by the way. Sorry, I was going to, Trump's actually going to be here tomorrow. Apologies, tomorrow.
Oh, President Trump is going to be in New Hampshire tomorrow?
Manchester, New Hampshire tomorrow evening. Great. Got an email from the Trump campaign. I get the emails, and they're going to be in a great place to start.
And do you, does your group plan on going over there to meet him?
If we can get tickets, I believe so, but with social distancing, I don't think we're going to be able to actually get near him, which is unfortunate. But if we have a chance to get tickets to actually attend the event, we will be. It's a talk, so I'm not sure to what extent it is. Again, it was really last minute.
It's not going to be a rally, right?
No, it's not going to be a rally. No, there aren't any rallies. But one interesting thing I would like to note is that New Hampshire is a state that could go red this time around. People are underestimating the fact that
Right.
yeah, the polls right now are much closer than they were between Hillary Clinton and Trump in 2016. And yes, he's lost some suburban support, suburban voters, because that's what I focus on. I focus on Wisconsin, Missouri, New Hampshire. We were doing some work in Alaska and Michigan too.
Okay.
So he has lost some support, but he's actually gained a lot of ground with Hispanics, which are the largest demographic group in the country right now, I believe. There's more Hispanics than non-Hispanics, where it's almost even. And a lot of ground with Black men specifically. Black women are very liberal, but Black men are very conservative, and they like his very direct approach. So he's doing pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's doing better than what the media would like to let on. But of course, I mean, if we listen to the media, right, then we would be led to believe that everyone hates Trump, which is not the case. I mean, you've been cross country, you've been in many different states, and you're on the ground. You're on the ground, so you see what
I'm on the ground talking to people. And I just want to make the point that people that support Joe Biden aren't supporting Joe Biden. They just don't like Trump. So when you compare the enthusiasm on both sides, Republicans are voting because they want Trump. The people that want Trump, not the Lincoln Project, the never Trumpers. I'm talking about the actual, like myself, conservative Republicans that are for Trump. We're excited about Trump. People that are voting for Joe Biden, they're not excited about Joe Biden. I've talked to people that have Joe Biden on their lawn signs. They're just basically saying, I don't like Trump.
Right.
And, this is a big experiment on, voter enthusiasm, especially going to the debates when you see a more senile, because let's be honest, we all know Joe Biden's 20-minute speech, they were lucky. People were happy that he didn't gap for 20 minutes, reading off a teleprompter. When he's live on stage with Trump, who's on it, 100% on it, it's going to be a bloodbath. Debate one.
I mean, I'm kind of worried. I'm kind of worried for Vice President Biden because we've all seen President Trump during the primary debates in 2016 and how he essentially tore apart every single opponent, right? One by one.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
Vice President Biden is not exactly known for his speaking prowess. And I think
he was never known for that. We have social media now.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. So I
he was never known for being a really good speaker.
So I think when it comes to a head-to-head match with President Trump, he might be in for a little bit of trouble, unless the media is able to spin it in a way that is unrelentingly negative towards Trump, right? Or if the moderators are all stacked against Trump, so in which case it's like 4 against 1. But I think
but if it's that obvious. So we have 3 debates. If it's that obvious, the first debate, people are going to just tune out.
Right. Yeah.
And that'll hurt Joe Biden. People see that he's senile. He can't really defend himself, and the media's trying to help him out. They're going to see a very weak, potential president.
Right.
And
let me ask
Joe
you this.
Biden, sorry.
What are your thoughts on President Trump? I believe he made the statement actually today or yesterday, but he was saying that prior to the debates, he wants to request a drug test. Both from himself and for Joe Biden, because he feels that there's no way in hell that he could have done that well against Bernie Sanders in their last debate, unless he was on some sort of drugs to kind of like prop him up. What do you think about that?
I'm not even worried about that. I'm worried about the fact that they're going to try to make, Trump does well in front of crowds, audiences. They might make it so there's no audience. Okay, right. I can live with that. But the one thing that I am worried about is they have like a delayed Zoom head-to-head matchup debate, which I do not agree with, because in Zoom the guy can just be fed answers, right? They can, like you said, they can give the questions beforehand to everybody, and then they can just put cards and let Trump not argue.
Right. I mean, in the 2016 race, it was revealed that Hillary Clinton was actually given the questions prior to one of the debates. I believe it was Donna Brazile, right, who gave her the questions.
Yeah, and she got fired, and that hurt Hillary Clinton. But there were still 2 other debates, and again, she wasn't in a room being fed cards. Even Hillary Clinton would have been able to hold her own anyway. Right. But she wasn't in a room with it's a lot of his interviews. Biden, it's pretty obvious he's reading off of cue cards. It's like an obvious thing,
I mean, this is a very big problem for Democrats, and I don't think a lot of them see this yet because, Definitely. You compare Biden and Hillary Clinton, right? And Hillary Clinton is head and shoulders a much better candidate than Joe Biden. She's articulate, she's smart, and she's quick, right? But even with all those attributes—
Depending on how you see it.
No, but I mean, even with all those attributes, it was kind of hard for her to beat Trump in a debate, given Trump's tactics, right? So now we have Biden,
Yeah.
who is not as sharp, not as smart, not as articulate, going up against Trump and his quote unquote bully tactics. I think Trump is going to roll over.
Definitely, yeah.
He's going to steamroll through Biden, and it's going to be almost sad to watch, right?
But you have to look at it this way. Again, did you watch the DNC? Did you get a chance to watch the DNC or no? The Democratic National Convention?
I watched snippets of it. I read I read about it mostly.
Well, if you actually noticed, most of it basically just talking about how bad and evil Trump is. It wasn't really talking about how good Joe Biden is. That's what they're basically planning on. America's a dark, racist, dangerous place, and it's Trump's fault.
And I think that's one of the problems that the Democrats had last time, right? Their platform.
Somehow, Trump's only been in office for 4 years, right. But it's some.
No, but I mean, like last time, I think one of the reasons that the Democrats lost was because instead of sharing their vision for the future, their whole campaign was trying to tear down Trump, right? And whereas
they're doing the same thing right now.
Right, yeah, and they're doing the same exact thing. So I mean, I'm not sure.
Even the same exact tactics. Hollywood, Steph Curry spoke one of the nights at the DNC. Like, before it was LeBron James. LeBron James is going to come out and support Joe Biden and campaign for Joe Biden. Again, Taylor Swift, the same exact tactics, the same exact. And the RNC the past few nights, generally speaking, has been the normal everyday American.
Right.
This is what people somebody in the suburbs in middle of Missouri or Wisconsin can relate to. The what was a lumber that was speaking last night, the guy that cuts lumber, that's a lumber as part of a lumber union. They can relate to him. They can't relate to Steph Curry in the NBA.
Or Eva Longoria. Right? And I think that Eva Longoria was the MC for I think night 2 or night 3 of the DNC. And I mean that's the thing with the Democrats, right? It's all glitz and glamour, right? And it looks cool, and the optics look great. But the fact of the matter is,
the optics for the RNC have been better. I think personally, like the way they're pro-America and the view.
Right. No, but I'm just saying that the Democrats, they spend too much time on trying to glamorize their DNC with the celebrities and this and that. But like you said, right, those celebrities don't necessarily connect with Middle America, with the voters that they need in order to get the White House. Right. So I think that the Republicans,
it's like
No, I was saying that the Republicans have hit the nail on the head in asking like everyday people to come and speak, as opposed to celebrities and basketball stars and movie stars.
Yeah, definitely, and that's really going to hurt them because again, the average person, for example, defunding the police. I'm in suburbia America, right?
Right.
People are afraid. People in CNN and MSNBC, they're saying, "Oh, the the Republicans are lying to people. They're exaggerating the facts. People aren't scared." Actually, in New Hampshire the other day, I talked to a Republican voter who's voting Trump, and he told me that he's never felt a need in his life to buy a gun, but he's buying a gun for the first time.
Right.
When I was in Missouri, I actually approached somebody's house. There was no trespassing sign. It's what we do. That doesn't apply to us. We're not trespassing. We have clipboards. We're professional. I go to his front door. He showed up at the front door with a gun. And I'm here to help you defend that right for you to hold that gun right there. He goes, hold on, put the gun down, spoke to me. I turned him into a supporter of our candidate. That was the Trump candidate. And then we joked after, we laughed. I was like, he thought I was BLM, right? He was like, yeah. Because, I saw in St. Louis, which is like a few hours down the road. I was in Kansas City, in the suburbs of Kansas City. So again, people are afraid that this anarchy in the streets is going to spill over to suburban America. And even Don Lemon and Anderson Cooper themselves are saying that the focus groups, people are scared. If Joe Biden doesn't address this in a coherent manner, he's not going to win that majority of suburbia that he needs to win in order to win the election. That Hillary Clinton couldn't win.
Right.
It's too out of touch. And Joe Biden's too out of touch. Nixon won in a huge landslide for his reelection because he was the law and order candidate.
Right.
Trump,
I think
all right, go ahead.
I think most Americans want law and order. I mean, I think
Blacks and Latinos too.
I think
Everybody
that's
does.
common sense politics. I mean, I mean that has nothing to do with politics, really. I think that's
unless you're a rich celebrity that can afford your own police force,
right.
then you're okay with that. Because San
Yeah.
Francisco, that's what they do in San Fran. I think we talked about it last
Well,
interview.
I think
They have a private police
yeah,
force.
like a few days ago, I think the mayor of Chicago, Mayor Lightfoot, she was criticized for wanting protection on her own residential block. And when people asked her, like, "Oh, isn't that hypocritical?" She's like, "Oh no, I deserve the right to also be, safe." But
She also has the right to do her hair when everybody else can't. And I call her Mayor Black Beetlejuice. That's how I hashtag her, Mayor Black Beetlejuice.
right.
I
Well,
think I forgot one time her name is Lightfoot.
yeah, but I mean, what these politicians and liberals, they seem to forget is that, yeah, I mean, everyone, I mean, they certainly have the right to feel safe. So do their constituents, right? So do their constituents.
Definitely.
Their constituents want to feel safe too. Okay, Mike, moving on to another topic. So you were just on a CNN show with
A spinoff.
right, a spinoff.
Yeah, Areva Martin.
It was, I believe you were on it yesterday, right? And
Yes, yesterday. And I forgot about this today. Apologies, but
right.
yeah.
So I want to.
Right.
Right. No, I mean it's okay to it's fine that you were double booked. I mean I'm the fact that you double booked with me and means that my show is actually going somewhere too. But Mike, so I've had the honor and pleasure to watch your segment from last night, and I've noticed that you were on the panel with, well, it was 4 people on the panel, you and 2 other people and the host. And I couldn't help but notice it was more like a 3-on-1 against you. And I must commend you.
I felt like Kavanaugh.
Right. And I must commend you in the fact that I think you held your own very, very well. And you were able to fend off a lot of the criticisms that they were trying to hurl at you. And you did it pretty deftly.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah. So it was basically, just to reiterate for people that didn't watch it, they're watching this now or will watch the recording. It was before our segment began. I didn't expect anything. They aired a video of the Lincoln Project and people that voted for Trump in 2016 that were basically against Trump this time that are voting for Joe Biden. Not because they like Joe Biden. One of them made it very specific. He's not a socialist. He doesn't like Joe Biden. He just doesn't like Trump. Right. But again, the hostess, Areva Martin, is very liberal, hates Trump. The 2 other people on the panel, also the same, very liberal. Well, sorry, not liberal.
Well, they were
Republicans.
They were Republicans, right? That have since soured on their vote for Trump. But I must make this point, right? So people that voted for Trump and now we're all of a sudden, anti-Trump. I always find it funny because it's not like Trump was an unknown, commodity, right? Everyone knew who Trump was when he ran. I mean, he is not like some soft-spoken or some, very like a model citizen type of guy. He's brash, right?
He's New York, man. That's New York. New Yorkers are like that.
He's brash, and in certain times he makes a lot of sometimes wacky statements, right? So everyone knows who Trump is, right? So it's like, okay, they voted for him. I
just wanted to point out before you no, hold on, no, it's just I want to point out that being in Missouri and these other states, I understand why Trump's brashness can come off as rude, because I say some things sometimes that come off as rude, and they're like, Mike, we don't say it like this down south. You don't swear in front of when people are surrounded. Like in New York, we do it all, we swear openly. We're very direct. We yell at people. It's not necessarily that we're mean. I don't want to say yell. That's maybe mean. We're just very loud. Right. We have loud personalities.
I mean, I'm from Jersey, so I can understand that because I'm pretty blunt, right? So I think that's one of the reasons why we get along so well. But back to Trump, right? So these voters who voted for him in 2016, I mean, they knew who he was. There was nothing about him that like completely changed from then until now. So in my opinion, the only reason they're changing their vote right now, I think a lot of it is due to peer pressure and maybe, peer pressure from their family, from their friends, peer pressure and, constant barrage from the mainstream media.
Some of them are lying on the
Trump is.
Some of them are lying in the polls. I mean, you saw what happened with Brexit, right? People lied about it. A lot of people said they wouldn't vote for it, and they actually went out and voted for it. Like the same thing's happening here. One of my good friends, he's actually the regional director for the Northeast of Joe Jorgensen. She's running on the Libertarian Party ticket. And he made a joke about the fact that when they call his grandmother and ask, who are you voting for? She says, I'm voting for Biden. She's a Trump supporter. She's voting for Trump. But again, when you have polls like that where people are afraid to stay on the phone because of fear, that they'll be yelled at or shut down because they support Trump, you can't get accurate polling done.
Yeah. So back to your interview last night with Miss Martin. So I found it funny that they made a point and then you made your point, and then they kind of shot you down. But then when you tried to refute your point, she said, "Oh, I'm sorry, Mike, but we're out of time."
Yeah. Unfortunately, they do that on both sides, but I have noticed that certain CNN hosts are really good at that.
Right.
Because even Tucker Carlson's my favorite TV show host. He's on Fox. He's more of a populist and a conservative. But the point is that he used to do that a lot more. Now he's tuning it down. But CNN is still on I made some pretty good points, even on the Charlottesville video. Yeah. And they were like, and I was like, hey, listen, you can go throughout history, the past 20 years, there's videos of Trump condemning white supremacy. There's pictures of him with Oprah, with Spike Lee. The people are calling him racist now. They're friends with him before. Right. Like, oh no, yeah, but that's out of context. I'm like, what's out of context about that? Gavin Newsom, promise made, promise kept. They had all the supplies they needed. Andrew Cuomo was the same thing. Anytime they needed help from Trump,
you have the two governors of the two most liberal states in the country praising Trump.
Yes.
Which is actually a very hard thing to find, right? I mean.
Yes, and you heard what she said when I made that point. Remember, she said yesterday, she was like, "Oh, it was taken out of context." I was like, "No, it wasn't taken out of context. This is election season."
Right. Yeah.
So now you have to attack them because it's it's your party against their party.
That's to be expected, right? Because politics, you do a 180 when you need to, right? And I think you made a point about Kamala Harris, about how during the debates, in the debates, she attacked Joe Biden for being opposed to busing for Black students, and she was like, "Oh, I was one of those
working with segregationists."
Right.
Yeah.
And now she is his best friend, which is understandable. She's on his ticket, right? They have to be best friends.
But she admitted herself. She was like, when they asked her, Stephen Colbert asked her, and she laughed. She's like, "It was a debate. It was a debate." I'm like, okay, that's fine, but how are we going to take anything you say seriously now? Because what if you're with Mike Pence? Can we just say, "Oh, she didn't mean it. It was just a debate"?
So, Mike, let me ask you: being on the ground in all these states and all these swing states, have you noticed an uptick in excitement for the Biden ticket because of the addition of Kamala Harris?
When I first found out, I was in Wisconsin going door to door. Obviously, this was GOTV, right? Like 2 days before the primary. So, or 3 or 4 days before the primary. I forget specifically what it was. But I talked to some voters about it, and people were like, "Hey, that doesn't help her." Especially in Wisconsin, Kamala Harris. I mean, I'm going to be a little bit blunt here, but compare the morality level. People in the Midwest love family, stability, right? They have children. I live in New York. You see people in the over 50, no unmarried, never married, no kids. In Missouri, Wisconsin, you see people in their early 20s married with kids. You see, compare the Kamala Harris, and by the way, the two biggest things that I get mostly are people want somebody that's strong in crime, pro-life, and Second Amendment rights. Second Amendment rights and pro-life are often the two biggest things that people always cite to me when talking about voting. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, specifically Kamala Harris, she's very pro-choice, pro-abortion. They basically said, "We want to take your guns away." There's an uptick on people buying guns.
Right. Well, Kamala Harris is a U.S. senator from the great state of California. So I mean, she cannot be anything but liberal, right? I mean,
But a voter asked me this: how does that help Joe Biden? Trump was let's be honest, he was more liberal, but he's like moderate center now, moderate right.
No. Let me tell you something. I think actually, Joe Biden kind of pigeonholed himself when he said he would pick a woman VP, right?
A Black woman VP. He screwed himself over.
No. When he first started, he said he would pledge to vote. He would pledge to pick a woman VP. Okay, so he kind of already boxed himself in there. And then after the George Floyd protest and everything else, he was kind of even boxed in more to pick a Black woman. So I think
because I think in the Bernie debate, the last one, he basically said, "I'm going to pick a Black woman VP," right? That's what he said. Like, it was pretty crazy.
So I mean, from an electoral college standpoint, I don't think she helps him one bit. I mean, yeah, she will help him nail down the state of California, which he would have gotten,
which would go liberal
anyway.
anyway. That's the only
Right,
state. That's the
right.
state to be. They said they made a joke. I just want to say, like they were like, listen, if the Democrats don't stop being insane, they're only gonna have one state vote for them, California, because California will always go blue. New York could even New York in the future, I could see it going red. I could.
Yeah. I mean, the last time that New York
No.
went, I believe the last time that New York went red was in 1988 for George H.W. Bush. And
Yeah,
since
but I'm saying compared to California,
then, well, yeah, because I think in New York you have like upstate, right? And upstate New York is a completely different animal than New York City. So I mean, in
it's the
upstate,
south of the cold weather.
right,
They call it the south of cold weather.
right, like in upstate in the Albany area, I mean, they're all pretty conservative there.
Yeah, I mean Albany is a little bit more liberal because it's more of a city, but yeah, once you leave Albany,
Oh, like Albany,
Syracuse, Buffalo, New York
Buffalo,
City,
right, yeah,
yeah, once you leave like major, yeah, it's all. If you actually look at a map of it, it's like the U.S. map. It's like almost all conservative. You just have this huge concentration centers
right.
where it's ultra liberal. But yeah, like it doesn't really help. In my opinion, personally, I think the best choice would have been, and I think they wanted this. That's why they delayed it a week. They wanted Michelle Obama, but this is why I think they're going to lose because Michelle Obama, because 59% of people that are voting for Biden, or sorry, 59% of Americans in general believe that if Biden wins, Kamala Harris will take over and
Right.
will finish the first term. So if you have that in mind, if Michelle Obama were on the ticket, she'd probably be almost assured a position to be president. And Obama's still pretty popular. Michelle Obama's more popular than Barack Obama. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that Michelle Obama calculated this and she was like, listen, this guy's not going to win. I'm not going to do it. I think they want Michelle Obama. To me, that's what makes sense. A black woman, the most popular, Michelle Obama,
Well, I mean,
a lot more popular than Kamala Harris.
they also talked about Susan Rice. But I think Susan Rice has too much baggage because of the Benghazi thing. And
Kamala Harris has too much baggage. She imprisoned black people. you know,
no, but I think,
she's half Indian.
to be perfectly honest, if I were Biden's campaign manager or someone who's involved in this campaign, I would say that his best shot at winning the presidency, if he was serious about winning, is to pick a moderate VP. Because I think, yeah, like you
Of
said,
course.
most people in the country don't view Joe Biden as someone who can physically serve out his first term. So what does that mean?
Yeah.
It means that they're looking to the VP to be the next potential president, right? And
Yes.
if you're looking at the VP, you want the VP to be someone who is more moderate, right? More in tune with middle America. And the values that Kamala Harris shares and her politics don't reflect, they don't reflect, middle America.
Like for example, Amy Klobuchar would have been great at Pete
Right.
Buttigieg. I mean, the gay thing maybe not so good, but like Amy Klobuchar would have been great.
Well,
Even
yeah,
what's the
prior,
what's the fake Native American woman's name again?
Warren.
Elizabeth Warren.
Right.
Even Warren would have been better. But yeah, Kamala Harris is way too liberal,
Yeah.
bro. She's way to the left.
So I think, for Kamala Harris's sake, I think she ought to really thank George Floyd's family, because if it wasn't for the George Floyd protests and this reckoning about violence towards black people, I don't think she would have been chosen.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing is that it's sad because there's a new video that came out of George Floyd. Apparently, he couldn't breathe before he went to the ground, so it wasn't because of the neck. He just really couldn't breathe. He might have passed away anyway, but people
Right.
ignored that.
Yeah, I mean, there was additional body cam footage that was leaked, and it was originally barred or blocked by a judge, right? But it came out anyway, and I think this new footage gives more context to actually what happened.
Yeah.
Right.
The guy couldn't breathe before he hit the ground, so it wasn't because of the neck. Then the neck thing.
And also, he had COVID-19, right? He tested positive for COVID-19.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't do what they do in New York. If you have a heart attack or you die from any other reason, but you have COVID death.
Yeah. I find it interesting that the Democrat Party, they're very big on women's rights, and especially in the whole Me Too era, right? And but I find it interesting that none of the media has brought up the fact that Kamala Harris carried on an extramarital affair with Mayor Willie Brown when he was mayor of San Francisco. I mean,
Yeah, she basically she literally slept her way to the top. She kept getting positioned
right.
because they were sleeping together.
So I mean, that
It'll
doesn't
come out. Don't worry. That will come out. I think that Trump is waiting
right.
because it's not the time. He wants to get
Right,
closer
yeah.
to the election.
But like those actions don't really speak to her.
Help in Middle America.
Yeah, but like
They don't help in Missouri and Wisconsin.
yeah, I mean, those actions don't speak to her proclaimed, support for the Me Too movement because she essentially, screwed
She's
up a
part of
marriage.
that Me Too movement.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, she basically she's part of the she's part of the people that slept her way to the top, like all the actresses and stuff that now have regret. Yeah, and the guy was like 60 something and she was like 30 in her early 30s, something like that, which is pretty insane.
Well, I think
So it
she
was
must
pretty
have been in
obvious.
her 20s. I think she was just fresh out of law school. I think she just became the assistant DA or something. Yeah, but it was very
Yeah, he appointed her to all positions.
yeah, it was very early in her political career. So Mike, where does this gig that you have going on now, which state does it bring you to next?
I'm hoping for Florida, but it looks like we're going to stay in the Northeast. We're probably going to move around Connecticut, Maine. And keep in mind that I just want to make sure that I still work in health tech. I have meetings every day at 9 a.m. and I'm still fundraising. So I do basically two things at one time. I'm working on my startup and I'm working on this. But yes, the main bulk of the day is this job. And I hope it takes us to Florida, but it's looking every day more and more likely that we're going to stay in the Northeast. This is what it looks like. We're here until September 8th, September 9th or 10th. We move to either Connecticut or Maine, hopefully Connecticut. Please God, I don't want to go to Maine, in the middle of nowhere. We move to Connecticut for 30 days and then probably come back to New Hampshire for the remainder up until election day. And then after that, I'm probably going to just work on my startup and on the Harlem Republican Club stuff back in New York because
that's cool.
That's where my heart is. I'm just out in New York for now and doing this. Is helping the Trump campaign, helping pro-liberty candidates.
Well,
let me see if I have a piece of lit. I can show you.
Oh, sure.
If I have one, if I don't, I can show you this though. Some people have already seen my social media, but let me know if you can see it clearly. This is what we ask people. This is the best kind of marketing you can do. You go to somebody, right? I say, okay, I'm gonna use a fake name, Salaspino. I'm here on behalf of Make Liberty Win, or a candidate, Salaspino. He's pro-Trump, pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, hates taxes, and would love your vote. They look at it a few seconds. Okay, look at my clipboard. Give me the top 2 issues that are important to you. Oh, Second Amendment. So I believe it's your Second Amendment right is a God-given right for you to own a firearm to protect yourself, your property, and your family. And no government ever has the ability to take that away from you because it's God-given. Can we count on your vote so we can keep our Second Amendment rights? That's what I do. I asked them.
Mike,
coronavirus.
Do you have a tally?
Do
you have a tally of how many voters you've turned around?
Converted? No, but I know the numbers. Apparently, 1 out of every 10 or 1 out of every 14 conversations I actually turned into a voter.
Is that a pretty good rate?
That's the average rate is 1 out of 14. If I can get 1 out of 10, that's really high.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think I'm looking at 1 out of 10. And also it helps. I just want to make this clear that I'm a Black Latino, because once they figure that out, it's also with the suburban white voters, because I'm gonna be the first person they've ever actually met that's not from their area, and maybe they don't have many Black friends. They think all Blacks are Democrats. And it's funny, yesterday there was one lady that she kept asking me questions, like before I even got near her. She goes like, "Who are you? What do you want?" I was like, "Don't worry, miss. I'm a Republican. This is for a Republican candidate." She's like, "Oh," she started laughing. She's like, "Okay, come here." and then I was like, "Listen, I understand. If a Black person was coming to my house, I would think they were Democrat too." And we started laughing.
Well, Mike, when you go to these houses door to door, are you going solo or do you have a partner that you go with?
By myself, man. By myself. That's all I need.
All right. And
this
is a 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. gig or what?
This is 9:30 to like 7.
Wow. Long day.
7 p.m.
Long day.
Yeah, and again, I have meetings beforehand. I try to do some work in the evenings for my startup, whatever I can. Yesterday, I took a half day off so I could be on the interview with Areva Martin. Right. So yeah, I had to watch that because I haven't had really time to watch the conventions and stuff. So I had to basically prepare by watching a lot of the first day 1 and day 2 before the interview.
So the RNC convention, I believe tonight is when President Trump will be formally accepting the nomination, right, for the second.
Gettysburg, I believe, or the White House. He hasn't chosen.
I believe he's doing it in the White House, right? I'm not sure. I haven't seen the update.
But, he was thinking Gettysburg or the White House, but you're technically not allowed to do campaigning in the White House. I mean, I'm not sure. I haven't had time, but I think he was leaning towards Gettysburg but I don't know if it's confirmed or not. Hopefully Gettysburg, because I think that really, okay, if he doesn't know the White House, the left's going to attack him, because that's kind of like borderline illegal to do in a way,
Well, they attacked
or
him
something like
last
that.
night when the citizenship ceremony for 5 new citizens, and they were
Yes.
saying how it was against the Hatch Act. So I don't think it matters what Trump does. I mean, no matter what he does, the left they're gonna attack him. So
Mike Pence, sorry, not Mike Pence, Mike Pompeo doing the Jerusalem
right.
thing, Jerusalem in the background. Apparently, they said that went against the Hatch Act.
Hmm.
I mean,
Well,
I don't know. Again, I don't know the legalities. I know that people that are secretaries of state in general,
right.
or like
They
any
don't make
secretary, is
these
not
speeches.
supposed to
Yeah,
campaign.
but he
You're not supposed. I don't know if that's a legal thing. You're a lawyer. Is that a legal thing, or is that just like a what do you call it?
no,
A
I think that's just like a tradition thing. Like in the past,
a tradition thing.
right? Like it's ethically or maybe just by
Ethically, yeah, that's what it is.
right
Ethically,
by
ethics.
by tradition. I mean, it's kind of like the same thing how during the the State of the Union, I believe the Supreme Court judges are not supposed to clap or stand up or show any sort of preference, right? Because they're supposed to be neutral.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
supposed to be the referees.
right. Yeah. And I believe it's the same thing as Secretary of State because you're supposed to be a diplomat, right? So you're not supposed to
Yeah, you're
overtly
supposed to be
show
apolitical.
any political, like side or like favor. But
So it's an ethical thing, not a legal thing. Okay, thanks for letting me know that because I didn't know.
right. No, I mean, if it was illegal, I mean, well, they're trying to say that it could be, something that is not legal, right? But if they're saying that it could be not legal, then it means that it probably is legal, right? So,
Yeah,
yeah,
but I prefer Gettysburg, bro. Imagine Gettysburg because that's where Abraham Lincoln spoke. When the country was in shambles. That's
right.
the kind. That's those are the kind of optics that. And also, Trump's going to speak for a while. Biden spoke for 20 minutes, barely. And that was like his shortest acceptance speech ever. And he didn't gaffe. Man, Trump is going to go for it today. And Trump
Well,
again, he's a reality TV show genius. He's
right.
he's done so many appearances the past like 3 nights of the convention compared to like Biden basically only one night speaking for 20 minutes. It's just the levels of like you said of
I'm not sure when
mental awareness.
did Biden speak live or was it like pre-taped?
I thought it was pre-taped, but I think it was live because afterwards they had all the reporters go outside and do the fireworks. But I don't know. I think it was live.
Right. I mean, you never know. But yeah, I mean,
You never know. Yeah, you never
I
know.
think for an acceptance speech, according to past history, it's always been like at least like 1 hour. So I think for Biden's
Yeah.
speech to be 20 minutes is pretty short. I mean, they were trying to keep it short, right?
Remember, they were excited that he didn't gaff. That was the big thing. Oh, he didn't gaff. It was an amazing speech. I was like, well, that's a very low bar. He didn't gaff.
Well,
The
that's one of
content
the
of the
things
speech
he has.
itself,
I mean, that's one of the
whatever.
things he has going for him, that the bar is set so low that as long as he doesn't mess up or F up, then he's good to go.
I see like this. The U.S. is basically like the biggest company in the world, almost. Besides like China and India, maybe, right? It's like he's like this. The president's like the CEO of a really big organization that FBI employees, CIA employees, et cetera, all the secretaries, all the under departments. Would you trust Joe Biden to run a small business himself, like run like I don't know a little financial firm? Would you trust that a guy like that?
Well, I
No,
wouldn't
of course not. So what
necessarily
the hell would you
trust.
trust him to be president?
Well, I would not trust someone who's never ran a business to run a business. Joe Biden
Well,
has.
he's never run a business.
He's
Yeah,
never run a
he's
business.
never run
So,
any. He's never run anything, right? I mean, because vice presidents now they're giving them more and more responsibilities. But traditionally speaking, Biden's actually haven't. He's been a senator most of his career. He was a vice
uh,
president
Joe
who
Biden
Obama gave
is
to.
the he's the stereotypical definition of a career politician. I mean, he is the swamp.
Yeah, they call him the Donald Trump Jr. called him the Loch Ness monster of the swamp because
Yeah,
basically everything that he's done his family getting very extremely wealthy off of again they all do it and this is why Trump won. Mitt Romney's family does it. Hillary Clinton, Chelsea Clinton, she's one of the richest women in the world right now. Right out of college, she was making like $900,000 zero experience. Mitt Romney's son was also on the board of like one of the Ukrainian gas companies very recently. They
yeah. I
all
mean,
do it. And again, Trump is the first president in modern history that's going to leave the office and actually lose money. Bill Clinton made a fortune afterwards. George W. Bush kind of lived up public life, but he didn't really lose money like that. If anything, he made a little bit
right.
of his speeches after. Obama went from owing money to Harvard for law school. He's worth like $400 million now. Something crazy, or 70 million, or I got $400 million. I'm not sure, but the point is that Trump's wealth is dropping. It's like It went from like 8 billion to like 6 or 5 billion. I'm not sure the numbers,
Yeah,
but
but
he's
I
gonna
think
leave the office losing money.
right, but I think in Trump's case, I think as time goes on, he will bounce back in terms of his net worth, because a lot of his net worth is tied to his properties, and property is something that will always keep rising in value.
Titles now. That's what he does. He titles shit.
Right. Well, yeah,
Sorry for swearing.
he
I know this podcast is PG.
yeah. No, but I think Trump will be fine no matter what happens. I mean, in terms of his finances, right?
Yeah.
Right. But so I mean, we have approximately, I believe, 2 more months until the election. So these are exciting times.
Is it 2 more months? Or is it like really under?
Well, we're already,
Yeah.
we're already almost in September, right?
Oh yeah, all September, all of October. So we have a little bit over
A little bit over.
And then next week is September.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's, I mean, a lot can still happen between now and then, right? But there's usually a surprise that happens right before the election that's supposed to shake up the race.
Oh, kind of like Trump's video last time. Yeah. So apparently, they're trying to figure out the legalities of the Attorney General Barr being able to actually release a lot of what's happening, like especially cutting, because they're doing that investigation.
Right.
So they're trying to see if it's legal for them to release a lot of the stuff, because Biden's family is implicated, because they're part of the swamp.
Yeah.
They're investigating the Bidens and everybody's getting investigated. But yes, everything, even right now, New York Attorney General is investigating Trump's finances. I'm like, dude, he's been in power for 4 years. They've been investigating this. They have found nothing. But they choose now the New York State Attorney General to start investigating Trump's finances. I'm like, wow, all right.
I think the regular voter will see through this as a political ploy, and that's exactly.
It is a political ploy.
It's a political ploy. But look, I believe that, if you were to put your betting odds right now on whether or not Trump would win in 2020, what would you say?
I would say if they somehow find a way to cancel the debates, he will lose. If they have the debates, like a full-fledged debate, because in my view, the reason why Trump won last time was because of the debates he had with Hillary Clinton. You could see that she was fake, especially when he said you'd be in jail. I think that line right there resonated with people. Wow, this guy's just said that she could be in jail. So what's in the servers? More and more stuff's going to come out. But again, Biden is polished. Biden's not going anywhere live. He's not speaking. He's very polished. They record everything beforehand.
I mean, he's using.
Yeah, but they record things beforehand. They edit things out. They edit the video so he sounds perfect. He's at some point gonna have to go live. He's eventually gonna have to answer questions, hard questions. He can't hide forever. Even CNN and MSNBC have been saying, some of the hosts, that he has to come out and answer these things live. He can't just hide. Ever since Kamala Harris has been nominated, all they do is they do press conferences really short and they leave when anybody wants to ask a question.
Yeah.
People see through that.
I mean, there's no way.
The independent voters are the ones that are going to swing this election. The Trump people are going to vote Trump no matter what. The DNC people are going to vote Joe Biden because they don't like Trump, right?
Well,
the people in the middle,
people are going to vote for Joe Biden. The DNC people are going to vote for Joe Biden because they're hoping for jobs for themselves if Joe Biden wins. Okay, well, Michael, I want to thank you for giving us your time today. I understand you have to run right now because you have to be back on the campaign trail. So I appreciate the time you've given us. We look forward to catching up with you maybe in a few weeks' time. All right. So, Mike, good luck on the campaign trail.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Next time I'll make more time. Hopefully we can do a segment live together one day, sure. Together in a room or something. Yeah,
definitely. Okay, Michael, good luck on the campaign trail, and I will see you in a few weeks, hopefully, okay?
All right, thanks, bro.
All right, bye-bye.
Ciao.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching Real Talk with Ronnie. Once again, here on our show, we only engage in real talk, real news, in real time. If you think you'd be the subject of an interesting interview, or if you have a worthy story to tell, then please feel free to reach out to us via one of the listed contact methods. Once again, for all inquiries and bookings, please reach us using one of the methods listed on the screen. We hope you have enjoyed tonight's program. Until next time, please take care, stay safe, and God bless.